Hi, Mary. Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
Everybody else. Do you get a chance to have some dinner, Mary, before this meeting?
Oh, I'm all set.
Well, that's good. We just finished a site visit an hour ago, Carrie, so.
Yeah, I thought that was for yesterday. Then I was about to call you, and then I reread the email, and I was like, oh, it's for today and not yesterday.
Well, Robin seemed intent on getting home so she could have a glass of wine, so she'll be all taken care of.
So can you add on at the end, like a report from Lake Wyola from
Yeah,
Ella?
that's great. Sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah, trying to get everything done these days is quite the challenge.
hi, Robin.
Hello.
Oh, I don't need this heavy sweater. I'll be right back.
All right, I hope Beth shows. Because she's chairing for part of this meeting. Oh, here's Chris Stoddard. I really hope Beth shows. Okay, well, we should call the meeting at 6 o'clock. Carrie, do you have Beth's, does anybody here have Beth's phone number to just check in with her?
Point you gave it to me. I don't know where I wrote it. Oh, yes.
Could one of you call her just because she has to take over chairing when it's my project? And I don't know if there's a problem.
I'm happy to call. I have to leave the room to.
Yeah, then we lose our quorum. All right, well, Scott's here. Okay. All right, if Scott's here, you can go do it.
Okay, it's just I have to use a landline from my house. We have no cell service, so I
That's
have
okay.
to.
All right,
go to-
that's fine. Scott's here, so we have a quorum. Hi, Scott.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you.
Yes. All right, we're
We
gonna,
can't see you.
well, I'm here. Are you local, Scott, or are you somewhere far away?
I'm local here for tonight.
Well, that's great. All right, well, let's begin the meeting. We have the continued public hearing for the amended order of conditions for 26 Lake Drive. And I see the landowners are here, and I see that Chris Stoddard is here. Hi, welcome.
Oh, hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Chris. Hi, Anna.
Hi.
So we did get the site plan that was submitted by Chris, and maybe we could just start with giving you guys an opportunity to kind of present what you're thinking about. And if you want, I can screen share the design. Would that be helpful, or do you want to do it, Chris?
Either way, whatever's easier for you, I can screen share, or if you want to do it, that's fine
Let
too.
me see if I can pull up. Okay. This is not it. That's for a different hearing. Okay, let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. You guys can see. Is this it?
Yep, that's it.
All right. So why don't you take a few minutes and just walk us through it?
Okay, so obviously I've kind of come into this project a little bit late, but I think I'm hoping what we have here is going to make the commission feel more comfortable with the proposed request for the amendment of the order of conditions to make the 24 by 55 foot parking area go from a gravel parking to a bituminous concrete asphalt driveway. So the portion on the left-hand side is the existing condition area. So obviously we have the the house kind of centered in the middle, the existing gravel driveway to the left, I guess would be the west side, and then the fencing, and then some of the existing shrubbery down by the lake. So what we've done is on the right-hand side, the proposed project, you can see the footprint doesn't change. We just make it asphalt. And by doing so, what we have now proposed to do, well, I have to blow it up on my side so I can see it.
You want me to blow it up more?
I can see mine if it's easier for the commission members to blow it up. Yeah, that would probably be a little helpful. So what we proposed is we are going to have all of the surface flow from the proposed parking area go through a series of what we're calling rain gardens, not necessarily a rain garden, but flattened areas that have quite a bit of plantings in them with some depressions for infiltration purposes. So what you see is all the flow will go from the left-hand side of the site to the right. It'll go through all these native areas. Here we have a flat area. It's got about a foot of depression in it here. That'll infiltrate
Right here?
basically all the water. Anything big major storm will overtop into a just a small 6-inch yard drain, and then flow into an additional level spreader, level area, which will then continue to infiltrate into there. And then any additional runoff, which we're not proposing any, would go down through this third series of rain garden area, infiltrating as much, basically infiltrating the rest of it in there. And then we are showing down at the lake the which was in the original order of conditions, the added 5-foot planting strip along the length of the property. So if you actually go to page 2, what we did is we took the pre-development conditions, which was the building and then the gravel area and then lawn, basically. And we compared that, we created a weighted runoff coefficient of 0.66. Then what we did is we took our post-development, which is the proposed project, went through that. And what we've done is we've actually reduced the runoff on the site down to a 0.65. So we believe we've proved that by putting the asphalt in, but adding these other features, we're able to reduce the runoff from what is actually currently on the site now. Yeah, and you can see too, right on the kind of on the left-hand side and right directly above between the house and the driveway, what we did is we added some more plantings in there just
Right
in
here?
case. Yeah,
Is this
the whole
where-
site, like you said, the intention is the grading of the parking lot is to go towards the planting area, but we added a little bit more in there just kind of as an added protection. It's not necessary, but you never know. We just kind of wanted to be prepared. We did provide a proposed planting plan on the next sheet with all native species, grasses,
Let me see if I can
down
find it.
below, yeah, right over there. Some winterberry, spiceberry, cranberry, some blueberry bushes, some wild lupin, sea oats, broom sedge, a bunch of different variations of plantings that we kind of thought would complement the site, but also reduce the runoff rate and help the help the infiltration of the water prior to reaching the pond. We did provide some details, some straw wattles, silt fence details. We are going to proposing, actually, if you could go up towards the lake. We are proposing, there's a series of existing blueberry bushes right up against the water. We are proposing silt fencing and straw wattles on the lake side of all of the proposed plantings. So that way, there is some straw wattles on the site currently, but we're proposing to add some more right along the edge. So that way we can plant everything outside of the, I guess, in the protected area. And then once the site is fully stabilized and the commission has had a chance to go do their final inspection, then we'd obviously remove that.
And what would be planted down by the lake? Is that been decided?
Yeah, so we kind of went back and forth. We're trying to find some plants that were native, but also, pretty, I'll call them. So I'm probably going to butcher the name. Anemone americana is what we found. They're about a 1 to 2 foot tall bush, basically. We'd space them about 3 feet apart. They come in about a 3-inch pots, and they kind of bloom out to a 3 foot spacing. They kind of grow out to be about 3 feet. They're native to this area. They're a hardy plant. They're this zone. So we thought that was a nice kind of complement. Gives them some flowering plants, but also serves as that buffer. Trying to think what else. No trees are being removed. So I know that was a question before. All the existing maple trees and oak trees that were along the property lines are not being removed. Those are all staying. The arborvitaes that were there, everything over there. Basically everything on the left-hand side of the structure is staying as is. So I hope that this makes the commission feel a little better about the project, but we can answer any questions that you folks have.
One of the questions I had when we did a site visit, we noticed, and now let me see if I can get this thing to disappear. In this corner where the cursor is in the right-hand side, it looked like there was a Japanese barberry shrub. And we were wondering whether the landowners were planning on keeping that or if they'd be open to removing it because it's an invasive species.
I guess I could have, if Anna wants to answer that question.
What, I'm sorry, just if you wouldn't mind putting your cursor there again where it exists, Miriam?
Yeah, this, it's hard to see because this control panel keeps popping up, but
I
it's in this
see.
corner to the right-hand side, somewhere right here.
Yes. What, is that, what does that look like, Miriam? Just remind me, is it it's like a pine tree or something?
No, it's a shrub. Robin, do you want to describe it?
Oh, boy, I'd have to look at a picture.
Yeah,
What's it called again?
it's a Japanese, wasn't it Japanese
Yes,
barberry is what we talked-
Barberry.
Okay, I don't know what it looks like. So I'm drawing a blank, you guys, but I think that's up by where Susan, our neighbor, parks or something. I think
It's
Sort
that's,
of right on the corner
yeah, it
of,
might be on her land. I don't know. we'd have to,
Oh.
yeah,
It might be, we didn't know, when we looked.
yeah,
Let
yeah.
me see if I have a photo. Okay,
Okay.
well, if it was on your property, wonder if I can pull, I might be able to, if I stop this.
I could go and get a book and hold it up to my video.
I could
Okay.
probably pull up the site visit photos, because I think it's on the site visit photos. So if you want to give me
Yeah.
1 second.
Tiny red berries, very small leaves. It sort of grows out from a center point in the ground and all of the branches go out. And part of the problem is when those branches, the tips hit the ground, they can then root and then keep spreading. So you can have a whole field of this stuff and it could be one plant. It's insane.
Trying to see
Yeah, I
if-
mean, I don't know why I'd want to keep it, to be honest with you. It just sounds terrible.
I
It
think I
sounds
think
terrible, so,
I think I just found the picture.
okay,
Well,
well,
let me
sure.
show you, and you can maybe
Yeah.
tell us whether you think it belongs to you. So if you look at, you see this photo, I think it's the
Yes.
shrub right up here.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, I think, okay, yeah, I mean, we can yank that, absolutely. Might
It
even be
has-
gone by now. I mean, we've done a lot of cleaning up, Miriam, since then.
Okay, great.
It has very sharp thorns.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't remember when I surveyed, because I had to
Yeah.
locate the contours all down around there. I don't remember it being there. But again, I think we're definitely amenable to removing it. That's part of the project.
Yeah, sounds thorny. Let's get it out of there if it's there. Yes.
Has anybody, I'm just gonna interrupt for a second. Has anybody figured out what happened to Beth?
Oh, I called the number, got no answer, got no answering machine.
Okay.
Um,
Well, does anybody have any questions for Chris or for the landowners? I'm gonna try and call Beth for a second and see if I can reach her on her
I can
cell.
try to, I mean, I think the cell is the number I had. I could try to look her up for a landline.
I have her number. If one, somebody else have any questions for a sec while I'm doing that? Of course, it's not showing up.
Not right now. Miriam, the number I called was the 219.
I don't have any questions.
Yep, I don't have any questions either.
Yeah. My only question, along with Miriam, had been the Japanese barberry. Like, if it's yours, I feel great that you are willing to yank it.
Yes, yank it. Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this looks like a great plan, and thank you for all the time and effort that's gone into developing this.
Oh, no problem.
We thank him too, Scott.
That's good.
They're getting her, so give me 1 second, guys. Well, they're getting Beth. I'm guessing she forgot that we're meeting early, so hopefully she will come. I think this looks like a great design. So I'm really pleased with it.
Hello?
Oh, hey, hi, Beth. Hold on one second. She forgot that we're meeting early. She's going to be joining us. Okay. I mean, I feel like, I feel good about it. So I've drafted up some draft amended orders of conditions, and just so the landowners know, since your original order of conditions was issued, we've changed our policy for writing orders of conditions, and we have a whole series of conditions that are now sort of our standard conditions that we're requiring of all projects. So for the sake of consistency, we may, when we decide on the conditions, we may choose to have all of those stock conditions. So I just wanted you to be aware of this while we're still talking about the project, and be aware of that.
What is the list, Miriam? I'm just curious.
Well,
you don't have to read it, I guess. I just was curious, what's the difference?
well, it's based on the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commission's standard orders of conditions. And so, they're mostly pretty standard kind of stock things. We've individualized them a little bit for our community. So we have, for the lake, we've been requiring as perpetual conditions, not using pesticides or synthetic fertilizers as a perpetual condition down by the lake. If work is being done in the buffer zone, we're requiring the applicants use a conservation mix grass seed and provide documentation of what kind of grass seed they're using. We're asking applicants to provide a letter acknowledging that they've read the conditions and understand them within 30 days of the issuing of the order. And then a number of just kind of very standard ones about kind of erosion controls and kind of good construction management practices. I'm trying to think about, can you guys remember some of the other ones that are on there? I think the one thing that we might consider, and this will be up to the commission as a group to decide, but in the original order of conditions, there's this condition for a 5-foot vegetated buffer strip, but it's not made clear whether this is a one-time only condition or whether it's a perpetual condition. So one possibility is that we may consider making it a perpetual condition, just for the sake of clarity. So I just wanted to give the landowners a heads up about that, because the order of conditions would look different than what was issued with the original order.
Now, that's news to us in terms of adding the word perpetual on the, on some of these. I understand some of the basics. They all make sense to me. I have a concern about anything going against our deed as perpetual. I mean, I just want to consider that, very carefully. If we were ever to have this property change hands or anything, I'm just, I want it to be realistic and manageable for the homeowner as well. So that's it.
Well, I think that even if it was a perpetual condition, if it wasn't manageable for a landowner, they could come back and have an amended request and ask to have it changed. So even with a perpetual condition, there are avenues for changing it. Doesn't mean it would get approved, but they could certainly request it and make their case. We would certainly be reasonable about that. Okay, Beth, you missed part of the hearing. Did you get a chance to look over the design that was submitted for 26 Lake Drive? That's what we're in the middle of right now.
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Do you have any questions? Chris Stoddard just kind of presented the plan to us and we're asking some questions.
No, I'm okay at this point.
Good. Okay, so do we have enough information to close the public hearing?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on the amended order of conditions for 26 Lake Drive.
Okay, and we have a second?
I second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
Defont, aye, Harrington,
Aye.
on
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, I have drafted some draft conditions, and as I was mentioning to the landowners, some of these are our stock conditions. And right now, just so you understand, now that we have ended the public hearing, we can't get any input from the landowners or the applicants or the public. This is an opportunity now just for the Conservation Commission to review and approve the conditions, and then we can hopefully submit this tonight or tomorrow morning. So what I would like to do is pull it up. Let me pull up the draft, and I have not shared this yet with anybody. So, but I've highlighted the things that I have questions about or would like some input. I think we should discuss. I think this is it. And here we go. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So findings of fact. We approve the mean annual high water line of Lake Wyola as delineated on the site plan. The 100-foot buffer zone around the lake is mapped but not flagged in the field. It's a protected resource area under the general bylaw. The proposed new single-family home and associated landscaping are within the 100 feet of the bank of Lake Wyola, and the soil absorption system for the septic system approved in 2020 is within the 100-foot buffer for the bank of the lake, but is outside the 50-foot buffer. Again, just making that distinction between 50 feet and 100 feet because the regulations are different. Work permitting under this amended order of conditions shall conform to the following plans and documents. So this was the original house construction sets, and then this is the new site plan that was submitted by Chris Stoddard, that's in yellow, and then we have the septic design. Does that look all right to everybody?
Yes.
And then here was a little blurb about what the project includes, about the house construction. The house includes a single family home with a larger footprint. Original structure was single family located entirely in assessor parcel ZB 96. Previously, the abutting parcel had no impervious structure on it. I'm not absolutely sure that's true. So I might take that out because I'm not absolutely certain about that. But the new home built under these conditions has larger foundation footprint. And then just the dimensions. Does that look all right?
Yes.
Okay. And then coming down here, new septic system was approved in 2020. And I guess I should have said that the original order was approved. I don't say that anywhere, the original order of conditions. Should I say that when the original order of conditions was approved? What do you think, Bob? Is that important or not?
Yeah, I think so.
So the original order of conditions for this project was issued on October, oh, help me out, October 16th?
14.
What?
Actually, under number 7, it says the original order of conditions for this project.
Oh, see,
Right
I
here.
even had it. Okay. Here I have just an observation from our site visit on a May 27. Was that when we did the site visit or was it earlier? That can't be right. Wasn't May 27. It was May 7. May 7 site visit, the commission determined that the applicants had placed erosion controls. I guess this isn't that erosion controls and significant soil disturbance was within 2 feet of the bank in non-compliance with the conditions, which established that the limit of work was to be no closer than 15 feet of the bank. So just kind of calling attention to that piece. Is that okay?
Yes.
And then here we have just a summary of what the original order of conditions were, that there was this requirement for an infiltration trench. They had to submit a plan for the infiltration trench for our approval and an impervious surface and no impervious surface on the driveway. So summarizing what the request was. And then comment from the original DEP, comments from the original notice of intent. This is again, something about just a recommendation for using natural vegetation to stabilize banks. Noting that lake whale is a priority habitat. And then here is the language that we find that they've met the evidentiary standard for having a impervious surface on the soil absorption system, and that we find they've met the evidentiary standard for the yard drain and bioretention features. Is that all right?
Yep.
Yep.
And then here was a question I had. Commission finds that the project with the requested changes has only partially rebutted the presumption or has rebutted the presumption, because if we say partially and we want them to have, for example, the 5-foot vegetative buffer as a perpetual condition, then I think we would say partially. Also, because there was, there was this, the limit of work went farther than was permitted in the original permit.
Right.
Because if we're going to having perpetual conditions, we should be explaining the rationale for it.
Is there a way, Miriam, to, and I don't know if this makes it easier or more difficult, but to tie that condition to, the work that's been authorized? So as long as these, the improvements that we're permitting are on site, that this as a condition of the vegetative buffer would remain. So it's tied to the, as a mitigation for the work that's being done more than as a ongoing perpetual condition, regardless of, whether or not these improvements stay over time. It may be a distinction without a difference. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't understand exactly what you're saying, but
Well, one would be so I think what's being proposed here is let's see if I can explain it better, a perpetual condition. So that would mean that this strip would need to remain in perpetuity as native vegetation.
Unless they came back and requested a modification.
Right, and I guess in my mind that adds a little bit of ambiguity in terms of, well, what would be the rationale for requesting it, and what would the future commission be using as a condition?
The rationale for the original buffer strip was because they were approving a large what the commission at the time felt was a large. I don't want to debate whether it was large or not, whether the commission was correct or not, but because they were approving a significant increase in impervious surfaces on the property.
Yes.
So this
So
was a mitigation for the
for that.
impervious surfaces.
And what I'm
And
suggesting,
because it would protect the bank.
yes. And so what I'm suggesting is to tie it to that so long as that larger footprint of impervious surface remains, that the buffer zone would remain. But that's specifically what we're looking to mitigate. So if they, for instance, if they took,
Isn't that what this is saying? It says, the effects include the loss of pervious surfaces, loss of vegetated buffer strips, changes to grading, and changes to natural stormwater flow patterns.
yes. But I think I'm picking up on, I think the concern that was raised is the requirement for the maintaining this in perpetuity. So is it clear that really the requirement isn't in perpetuity, it's in for as long as these impervious surface improvements remain? That's my point.
Well, if they don't remain, I think they can always request a change, but we're permitting the order of conditions with the assumption that these are now the existing conditions, this loss of pervious surfaces. So the perpetual condition is based on what the existing conditions are, not on a hypothetical. I mean, if for example, the house burns down or they demolish the house and let it go back to grassland, then they could come back and modify the order of conditions.
Yeah, I'm just saying for purpose of clarity, my recommendation would be tying it to, for as long as these improvements of the impervious surface remain, that this would be a requirement.
Mhm.
So I think it could be made more clear by modifying that language.
Mhm. But then it isn't really a perpetual condition, and it doesn't really spell out the conditions under which they would come back for a conservation commission review of it. So if we don't have it as a perpetual condition, then there's no mechanism for the commission to review the change, Scott. I mean, I think it's cleaner because I think that, anyway, what other people think? I'm talking a lot. So Mary, Beth, do you have any thoughts about it?
I think the way it's written is fine. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah, I think what's written is fine as it is.
Okay. I mean, it's not a forever, if it is an unbearable condition, for example, let's say the bank starts collapsing and the landowners absolutely feel that they need to put in a hardscaped retaining wall along the bank, they could come back to us and we could modify those conditions based on whatever work they're proposing. So there can always be a mechanism for amending this later if it becomes necessary for the property.
Yeah, I do understand that. I think for clarity, and I understand I may be in the minority here, but I do think tying it, really it's not really a perpetual condition that we're looking for to go on regardless of the site conditions. It's tied to the improvements of the impervious surface that are being made. And so I think making that more clear would help a future commission make a decision, but I understand where you're all coming from, and I understand the rationale for making it perpetual might make it easier for the commission to entertain any future changes.
Sure.
I'm just saying
Okay.
I would do it a different way.
Yeah, okay. I think it's clear. I think it is clear for future commissions to understand what our rationale was and what factors we were taking into consideration, which is really kind of the point of this, so that if there is any reevaluation in the future, it can be understood what was the commission thinking. We need to move along. I'm looking a little bit at the time, and I know we have another public hearing in 10 minutes. So this is boilerplate. So all of this is our standard general conditions. Nothing is new. under pre-construction phase conditions. So here, I had a question. Approved erosion controls identified in the above mentioned site plan shall be installed and maintained between the project area and the bank of the lake. Now, I put in here 15 feet, but Chris was mentioning that they want to put the erosion controls just outside of where the limit of work is right now. So we could just leave this out. So we can just say as described in the approved site plan. And
Right.
how's that look? Does that look all right?
Yes.
Okay. Then applicant will arrange a pre-construction site visit to inspect the erosion controls. Erosion socks installed around any stockpiles of materials with the open end of the sock away from the bank. I don't think that they actually talked about stockpiling. That's why I put this in here as just an added condition. And then here, no clearing of vegetation shall occur prior to the approval of the erosion controls at the site visit. Minimal disturbance of shrubs and herbaceous plants to place the erosion controls. Look, is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then construction of an impervious parking area atop the soil absorption area as identified in the above named site plan shall be permitted by this amended order. No berming of the paved area along the edge of Lake Drive shall be allowed, and the applicant should be responsible for future maintenance of the roadside edge of the parking area to ensure that road erosion does not create berm-like conditions. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, but
That does.
what?
It does. Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Then the erosion controls serve as a limit of work and, oh, I'm losing it. This is all boilerplate, nothing here. No tree or shrub removals are approved by this amended order except those required for the approved activities, except for the work or the removal of the Japanese barberry shrub, but we think that's already gone. So I could just take that out.
Are we
Yep.
sure it's gone?
We don't know for sure.
I would just leave it in.
Is
Okay.
is that a voluntary measure that we're asking for, Miriam? Or the actual condition of approval? I mean, I agree, it's absolutely a good idea to take care of invasive species. I'm just wondering if that's worth listing as a condition of permit approval.
Okay.
I don't see why it can't be listed. A lot of times we list that it's required that they plant native species or some certain kind of plant in a certain area, and eliminating an invasive. I mean, I agree it's sort of a general thing. It's not specific to this particular project, but
Yeah, I'm just wondering about our authorities under the bylaw and the Wetlands Protection Act. I think it makes sense where there's replanting that we would recommend native species. I'm just saying for removal of existing invasives as a condition that.
Well,
you
it
know, are
wasn't
not part
on
of
their
the
site. So Scott, it wasn't on their site plan. So they identified all these shrubs that were going to be maintained and new shrubs and plants that were going to be added. But this particular shrub was not listed on the site plan. So
Yeah, I understand. So it's an
If it-
existing shrub not being impacted by the project.
but it's in a location where they're saying that they're going to be putting native shrubs. So if we're saying strictly that they're going to be keeping to that planting plan that we're approving, then this should be removed because this is inconsistent with the plan that they've submitted.
The plan that they've submitted said that they'd be removing this plant, and you think that's critical to the project area.
Well, I guess we need to move along. We've got more conditions. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this. So Beth, and Robin and Mary, where are you guys at with this? Do you want this in or out, or do you want to revise this?
I mean, I was happy to see it in, and when we brought it up, the owners were like, yeah, let's get rid of this thing.
Yep.
It's out. I know I'm not supposed to talk. It is, and not there. I just got that confirmation. Not there.
Okay.
There you
Okay,
go.
well, I'm okay. So I'm okay if it's out, to take this out, this language out, and then we're left with, this is, again, boilerplate that we have used.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe this is repetitious. Have we already had, is this, we have no tree, and then up here, no clearing shall occur prior. Okay, no, this is right. So no tree. This is, now it's pretty much consistent with what we often have in orders of conditions. Is that all right with you, Scott?
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Any additional patios or walkways that are to be surfaced with permeable materials? Or we could just say any additional impervious additions to the property shall be brought to the commission
Yeah, I like that much better.
for approval. Okay,
Yep.
right. And they're responsible for maintaining the erosion control, site grading. Here again, this is kind of the boilerplate about maintaining erosion controls until the property is revegetated, reseeding as needed, and giving us information about the conservation seed mix that they're going to use for the grass, no hay to be used, and then giving us photographs no later than 12 months after the completion of the project to verify the revegetation process. If areas are less than 80% revegetated, we might require additional seeding. Within 30 days of completion of the project, they would contact us for a post-construction site visit. So then these are the perpetual conditions. One would be the 5-foot continuous buffer. And what I did in this was to try to make this a little bit more amenable for the landowners, saying that they could have a 4-foot wide pathway to allow access to the bank, because if you live by a lake, you want to get near your water. Want to be able to not have to fight through shrubs. Is that,
Yep.
what do you want to do?
That's fine.
So we already have a list of plants, so I don't think we need this. This buffer strip shall be preserved and enhanced as much as is practicable and shall survive the expiration of this amended order and shall be included as a continuing condition in perpetuity. And then maintenance and repair by the property of the yard drain for stormwater runoff shall be a responsibility of the applicant. So that also would be a perpetual condition, which could be removed if for some reason that no longer makes sense. Is that okay?
Yep.
And then these are the other two boilerplates about pesticides, fungicides, and slow release fertilizers. And this is kind of, we've already addressed this, so that we don't need. About pervious surfaces. So I'm looking at the time. So what we need to do is we need to pause this and come back to it because we have another hearing. So I am going to put myself for 1 second. I'm going to stop screen sharing. And I'm going to go in the other room so that my husband can join us. And Beth's going to take over.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Beth.
All right, maybe we should wait for the applicant to show up, but I think we can at least open the meeting while we're waiting for him. So I'd like to open the public hearing for the request for determination for 74 Pratt Corner Road for the replacement of a failed septic system. The applicant is Robert Kibler and Miriam DeFont. And whenever they get back, they can do
We
their
are here.
presentation.
We're here.
They're here. Welcome to the Amherst Conservation Commission.
Thank you. And I just want to make clear for anybody from the public that I am not functioning right now as the chair. I am just here as a landowner.
Yeah. So we open the public hearing. So do you have some plans and things you want to bring up and describe the project to us?
Yeah, Chris, do you want me to screen share it?
I can, it's totally up to you if you want to screen share it or you want me to.
Why
whatever
don't you screen share it if we can make you a co-host? Carrie, can you make him a co-host?
Oh, I
I
can.
believe I made him one earlier.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody see that?
Yes,
Yep.
I can.
Okay, so what we got here is, we'll kind of orient ourselves. Pratt Road, north is straight up, south, west, east. So this is an RDA for replacement of a failed septic system. So what we have is we had Ward Smith went out earlier this year, delineated the wetland. We have two series of A series on this side with a culvert pipe and then a B series down here on the front of the property. The existing septic system is right here under my hand, and the existing septic tank is located in approximately the same location as the hand here. Their existing well is in the backyard. So what we did is we did some soil testing in this area here to prove out a septic system can go in the front yard. We were able to get the perk test, a successful perk test. So what we're proposing is to abandon the existing septic system in place, install this new Title V compliant one, a new tank, dual compartment tank here. Silt fence, we do have a little bit of clearing we have to do. Here's the existing limit of, there's a few trees in here and some shrub, some bushes and stuff. So we do have to clear a little bit of that out to make room for the septic breakout. Silt fence and straw wattles around the project site. And we're proposing, obviously, because we are going to have to strip the topsoil off of this area. So we're proposing to stockpile that up here near the house. And that's going to have an additional silt fence and tarps over the pile during construction. I'm trying to think what else. Access will be across the front yard here, across this site. Any of the material, the tank would obviously be pumped, crushed, and remove the old tank. Site will be grassed, seeded once finished. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's pretty much it. It's fairly simple, just a septic system replacement.
The only couple questions that I came up with is what's the distance for the closest distance to the wetland line that the limit of work is?
That's a good question. Give me a second. I can bring up the CAD file and actually give the exact number. On this, I'm thinking it's going to be approximately 40 feet, but I can give you the exact answer here in a second.
Chris, do you mind if I make a comment?
No, yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, it's going to take a second to open.
My recollection is that when the finished grading and seeding is done, the footprint of the septic system is outside the 50-foot line, but there's going to be a small incursion of breakout area that goes within the 50-foot line.
Correct. There's actually the existing lawn goes right underneath my hand, right to here. We're not encroaching any closer than that to the 50-foot to the wetland. So I guess the existing yard is actually closer than what we're proposing to be.
Yeah, it looks like the closest spot might be like where you were showing you're gonna have access, like the part you're gonna, drive across to get,
Correct.
that looks like the closest area, but it looks at least 30 to 40 feet.
Yeah.
Is it coming back?
Yeah, it's loading AutoCAD. That's why it looks black. I didn't realize it was going to load onto this page.
I just remember from discussions at the site visit that even though there'd be some temporary ground disturbance within that 50-foot buffer, all the excavation will be outside of it.
Correct. Yes.
And the overall footprint of the septic system is moving farther from the wetland than the existing system.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And most of, well, about probably half of the existing system, when we don't have the exact footprint, but we're pretty close on that, is almost half, more than half of it's within the 50-foot buffer as it is. So we are moving. We're trying to stay as far away. We have to balance. It's a balance because we have an existing well on the abutting property and their well, so I can't push it too far out because then we were going to be too close to the neighbors. Well, it was a kind of a,
Yeah,
we horseshoed it in there, so to speak.
yeah, I can see.
And Chris,
Um,
again, the mitigation measures for like erosion that you're planning during construction again, where.
Yeah, so we're doing silt fence and hay bale and not hay bale, silt fence and straw wattles around the limit right here. So we do have that
Gotcha.
identified. And that's
Okay.
that's out. That's enough, far enough away, but I kept it as tight as we could for the grading, so that way they can meet Title V breakout requirements.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, then the only other thing I was wondering is about how many trees are coming down?
Oh, Miriam, can you remind me how many did I flag? 4, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's going to be more than that, because one of the things that's a little weird is that you can't really see it very well because it's such a faint line. But if we were just to carve out the area, well, I'm not doing screen sharing. I'm using my cursor and realizing you guys can't see it.
I can zoom in a little
If
bit.
we were just cutting out the trees to accommodate the septic system and the breakout area, it would end up being a really weird little kind of alcove cut into the trees. And so I think probably would want to have a more gradual sort of blended tree line
Up in
toward the
this-
house, toward the south,
Away from the wetland.
away
up in here.
away from the wetland. So, and
Yeah.
yeah. So there might be some additional trees sort of near where the soil stockpile is, where we would try to get them to kind of blend the line. So it's not just like this kind of angular cut into the trees. Does that make any sense what I'm saying? I don't know how else to.
Yeah, so what she's saying, so basically the cut to accommodate the septic, it would have been boop, 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 and there'd be this weird bubble of trees here. So kind of coming from where my hand is on a slight angle over to here, because that's that stump that you guys have firewood stockpile next to.
Yeah.
So kind of taking the remainder, I think there's 3 or 4 trees in this area here to
Yeah.
come out.
They're mostly hemlocks, and then there's one birch tree that we would take down that.
Would be a total of, probably 7 or 8, then I would think.
Yeah. And they're all the ones that we would take, the additional ones are all small trees. The bigger ones have to go out because of they're in the area where the leach field has to go.
And everything's being removed from the site, like the trees are going and any excess soil and everything is being taken away.
Hardwoods are staying because we'll use it for firewood. They're going to take out all the scrub and brush and softwoods and the stumps.
And any of the soil that we dig out of the system would be used as breakout, and then anything additional would be trucked off site.
Okay. All right, I don't have any more questions. Does anyone else on the commission have any more questions?
I do not.
Oh, all right.
So the old system, you are crushing and removing from the site too, correct?
So the leach field itself, we leave in place because it just is less disruptive to leave it there. The tank, which is located here, that will be crushed and removed. But it's standard practice that we usually just leave the leach field in place.
Okay, that's the only question I have.
Oh, and I guess just to point out, I mean, I think everybody read the RDA that the area will be stabilized with a conservation seed mix, and the erosion control will stay in place until the site is stabilized.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, if there's no more questions from the commission, we can take questions from the public if there are any. How does this work? Do we just wait and see if anybody raises their hands, or I guess we just wait? I'm used to meetings where I'm actually in the same room with other human beings. So doing it this way is a little different. But I don't see anything. Anyone from the public is, there's no raised hands or anyone, so. All right. I guess we're ready to close the public hearing. Let me just make sure.
There was maybe one question.
What's there?
Someone identified as iPhone, but it's no longer showing as a question, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see, I just opened up all the people. I don't see anything, so. All right,
So I'll make a motion to close the public meeting for 74 Pratt Corner.
I
Septic upgrade.
second.
you have a second? All right,
Aye.
let's see, David,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Khan,
Aye.
Wilson, aye. Public hearing's closed. So now, let me try and share. I did put together the RDA form.
I think, can you do it? Yeah.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
So here's the determination form, and I just generally filled it out, and I'll show it to you, see if you have any questions.
Sorry, you should change the date to the revised date of 6/13 for the plan.
Oh, thank you. All right, so here's just a summary of the project. Replacement of a failed septic system with a new Title V approved septic tank and leach field within the buffer zone to BVW adjacent to an intermittent stream. The project site slopes to the north toward the resource area. The closest point of work to the BVW is, we're gonna,
37 feet.
37, you figured it out.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
finally got it open.
AutoCAD can be a beast.
Oh man, it takes forever to open it sometimes.
Mhm. 4 trees, I think we decided.
No, it was 4 for the system, but if they were gonna cut a few more, I think we decided up to 10.
Up to 10 trees, okay. Will be removed in order to install the new septic system. Erosion control consisting of a silt fence and straw wattles will be placed along the limit of work during construction. Site will be stabilized afterwards with loam and a conservation seed mix. Erosion control will remain in place until the site is fully stabilized. And then, so determination, positive determination, I've got the area and/or work described is subject to review by the Shutesbury. And I think I saw that this is the Shutesbury General, is that what, I think that's what it's called. Shutesbury General Wetlands Protection Bylaw. These are the positives, and then we're giving it a -3, which is for work in the buffer zone. With conditions, basically is what -3 is. So we're allowing the work in the buffer zone with the conditions. And I just put C attached because we'll have a separate file for that. And that's it, certified mail. I believe we'll be doing that tomorrow. Okay, and then do I have everyone's approval to have you you sign this? I will type your name in.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Yep.
great. Why doesn't it let me do that? I don't know. I guess maybe I go back and actually sign those because it doesn't let me type over there. Figure it out. And that's it.
You don't need to sign them, Beth, because we have a certificate of vote that lets you digitally sign.
Okay, so we just type them in where I typed them in.
Yep, that's all you got to do.
That's all you gotta do. Okay, great. Save that. Let's see what happens. All right, so this I was starting, but we can finish it. Special conditions, 74 Pratt Corner Road. Date today. Placing a septic system. That's the plan. I'm gonna change the date for the plan. But kind of a buffer to BVW of an intermittent stream. Shutesbury General, yep, that's all good. Following conditions, okay. Erosion control shall be installed as described in the request for determination. And this is where I didn't get, I wasn't done. Erosion control should be, let's see, erosion control shall be, I'm gonna say along the limit of work.
Quick question.
Yeah,
What you did earlier where you typed a date in, what was that?
that's for the plan. So Chris just said that there's a revised version of the plan. So I had the 6th because that was the original version of the plan that we saw, but there's a revised version that they brought up tonight, and that has the date of June 13th on it.
So not today's date, but the 13th.
Right, this is, right, Chris? It's the plan's dated the 13th.
Correct, yeah, the
Okay.
plan is dated the 13th.
All right, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Erosion control consists of erosion control. Does that make sense? Erosion control consists of silt fence with straw wattles. I guess, is this how you guys want to do it? Would you rather do have the applicant submit photographs of the erosion control in place instead of doing a pre-construction site visit? Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Yep, that's good with me.
I guess that's something I hadn't seen that we did before, but I think it's great. Erosion control shall define, we kind of said that already.
And I think we did that actually with Wim Levine's project over here in Wendell Road to submit photos.
Yeah, that's where this came from. And I think that's for these RDA projects, I think that's great. It's fine. No major changes will be made to the pre-existing grade. I don't think we need that in here. I kind of like to say, no vegetation will be removed prior to installation of the erosion control. Pre-existing vegetation will be preserved to the maximum extent practical possible. Okay. Landowner will maintain and repair erosion control as needed until the work is completed and the site is stabilized. Erosion removed once it's stabilized. Those are all good. Are there any other conditions anybody would like to add?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
That's
Is
good
good.
to me.
Yeah, I think these are sort of our basic conditions for RDAs. And I can't think of anything else, so. Okay. Let me stop screen sharing that. All right, so now we can vote to issue the RDA. So we need a motion to issue the RDA for 74 Pratt Corner Road.
I'll make a motion to issue the RDA for 74 Platte Corner Road.
I second.
All right, David,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Khan,
Aye.
Wilson, aye. All right, I did it. Woo, that was great.
Beth. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Glad that's done. Okay, well, I will take over the reins. Let's go back to finishing up the order of conditions. We have a hearing at 7:30 for the ANRAD. But I think we can finish this up. So these were the order of conditions, the amended order of conditions that we had discussed. Any other comments about this? Saying if it was all, the numbers are okay. I always want to make sure. Oh, did it? Do you see 13? And then it goes to 31. Okay. So any discussion?
No, looks okay.
All right. I thought just for, I wanted to make sure that the Form 5 is filled out correctly. So if we can take a minute and I can get us into EDEP, then we can look at that and then take the vote on the special conditions. Is that okay?
Yes.
And how do I do this? I go right here. Okay. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
All right. I queued this all up, but now I've been booted out. Hold on a second. Nobody look at the password. All right, here we are. So we want this one. So amended order of conditions be issued tomorrow. Here's the site plans, Chris Stoddard's design. Oh, I didn't put the date. Shoot, what is the date? Does anybody remember what the date is?
6/16. I know I'm not supposed to talk, but
No, you can talk about that.
revised date of 6/16.
All right, that's right.
And it's actually, it is 1 to 10 inches per scale.
Oh, it's 1
Oh,
inch.
1
10
inch to 10 feet, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. All right, I'm gonna save that because we have to keep saving. Saving. All right, and then next page, this is all buffer zone, and it said shortest distance between the limit of the disturbance and the wetland resource. I mean, really, it's like 1 foot. For, I didn't know how to fill that out, because they're not doing work exactly on the bank, but they're in the buffers, they're like right on it. Does that look okay to you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Janice, what do you think? Is that okay?
Yeah, putting only 1 foot lets them know, yeah, they're basically on top of it.
Okay, and then this is all nothing that we need to do. And then I see attached special conditions is not subject to stormwater standards. And then we approve under the bylaw, see attached conditions. And we need 5 signatures, error check. Oh, we did it. Okay, I can do the submitting and uploading the documents later. I don't need to have everybody looking at it now. Now I'm getting the hang of it. Does somebody want to approve the amended order of conditions with the special conditions as edited or approved? As amended.
So I'll make a motion to approve the order of condition as amended for 26 Lake Drive.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
Stefan, I, Harrington,
Aye.
on
Aye.
Wilson.
Hi.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris and Anna and Michael.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm glad we were able to work this out, and we wish you well on your beautiful project. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful home. And
you. Thank you.
we will be sending you out the conditions, and there's some things you'll have to do, and you're going to need to get it recorded with the registry before you can begin any work.
Yes, yes,
so-
we do, Scott. Yes, thank you.
But if you have any questions about any of that, just reach out to us and let us know.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. So we got a few minutes before the Montague Road ANRAD, and I'm thinking that there might be a couple of topics that we can just get off our list.
Did you have something listed for 7 o'clock?
7.
Oh, what do we have for 7? Oh, yes, we do. Well, what I have is to consider the order of conditions for Locks Pond. So we can do that now. We already closed the public hearing for Locks Pond. Do you want to go through the order of conditions for that now?
Sure.
Okay, let me pull that one up. All right, I'm pulling it up. And there we go. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is for Locks Pond Road. The findings, we approve the bank and the 100-foot buffer zone delineated on the documented on the document entitled site plan dated 6/17/22. So they did get us the updated site plan where they removed the dry well and the outdoor shower that we had requested. The 100-foot buffer around the lake, which is mapped but not flagged on the site as a protected resource. The proposed project is within 100 feet of the bank. The bordering land subject to flooding is neither delineated nor approved. by the commission under this order. Remember, there was some area of their property probably is BLSF, but it wasn't being affected by the project area. This project includes replacing footings for a 3-season room, pouring a slab underneath the addition, adding a retaining wall and stormwater drains. And a stormwater drain. A rain barrel is to be added to collect rooftop runoff. The pre-existing outdoor shower is not approved and shall be removed from the site. The work is, these are the documents that the work is permitted under. We find that there's no practical equivalent, and we find that they have rebutted the presumption of an adverse effect. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. And then a little blurb about landscaping that I'm just putting in for people's education. So this is again all boilerplate, pre-construction conditions. Erosion control should be installed as indicated on the approved site plan. Additional straw bales shall be added as appropriate. No hay is permitted. Erosion matting on any slopes greater than 3 to 1. And a pre-construction site visit. Do I actually say that they're gonna? Yes, they have to schedule a pre-construction site visit. And then here again, this is all boilerplate for construction phase impacts about materials and seeding, conservation mix. And then the 2 conditions that we've been adding for pesticides and fertilizers as perpetual conditions. No additional net loss of permeable surfaces is permitted without written approval of the commission. And post-construction site visit. Does that look all right?
Yep.
Yep, looks fine.
Okay, and I'm going to go back into EDEP. If I can get to my EDEP without being booted out. And let me screen share. And so we are on this one. So we've got the site plan. I didn't put all the other plans. I only put in here this site plan. Do I need to put the other ones that are referenced in the special conditions?
Are they revisions of the same one, or were there?
No, it was, let me go back and look at what they were. They weren't really site plans. One was an overview map of the property, which really, I don't think we even need because we have this engineered plan.
Yeah,
I think
you
we can
just-
take that out. And then there was a patio contract that was just like the construction sequence. But again, I think we could take that out too.
Yeah, I think here you just really need to refer to the engineered plan.
Okay, I'm taking out the special conditions. And then that makes it easier here. Okay, so I've got that taken out. And again, this is buffer zone, and I think the closest proximity to the bank was 19.3 feet because they were taking out the dry well. And then this is that. And we approve it under the bylaw, and we have 5 signatures. And no errors. Okay, good. So any more discussion or comments about the special conditions?
No,
Okay,
looks good.
somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the order of conditions for 387 Lux Pond Road.
Second?
I second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
Aye. Harrington. Robin, was that a yes? I couldn't see.
You're muted.
He's
You're
muted.
Sorry, aye.
Aye. Okay, Con,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, so that's taken care of. So we still have 9 minutes. So let me go back to my agenda and see what else we can knock off. I think we had the minutes for June 2nd. Has anybody had, or has everybody had a chance to review them?
I have.
Okay.
Really long.
No, they weren't that long. For June 2nd? By our standards, they were short. Okay. Any, are you guys ready to approve them? Has everybody had a chance? I haven't heard. Yes? Okay.
Yes.
You want to make a
Well, I
motion?
missed the meeting, so I have to abstain anyway.
Okay.
A
right.
motion to approve the 6/16 meeting minutes?
No,
No,
6,
two.
June 2nd. We don't have the,
I'm sorry.
okay, second?
I second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
Font, I, Con,
Aye.
and Wilson.
Aye.
Okay. All right, a few more things we need to talk about. One is that I've been in touch with Pat Garner about the regulatory work that they're going to be doing for us. He and Scott wanted to know whether the commission would like to arrange a site visit to go out and look at a couple of intermittent streams as exemplars, whether you feel like we need that or not. It would actually, it would, you know, we would have to pay for their travel time. So there'd be added cost associated with it because that was not part of the original scope.
Do they feel that they need that, Miriam, to help them with the original scope or not?
I think they were thinking that it would help us. I personally feel like I have a pretty good understanding of what an intermittent stream is. And I feel like if we were in doubt, we could just go look at the one Scott found on our own.
Mhm.
Which was a really good example. So I don't personally feel like I need it, but I'm open to what other people want.
Did you send that video that Scott did to them so they know what we're thinking about?
Yes.
Good.
I don't think we need to do it.
Okay.
By the way, I felt like I could delineate that underground stream by myself pretty easily.
Yeah. That was great. The timing was perfect. Okay. All right. We have a notice of intent that has come up for a stone bridge on New Boston Road on property owned by DCR. So this is a notice of, it's an RDA from DCR. And there's two questions here. One is, I don't know if you guys looked at the RDA, but basically it's an old antique stone bridge where they're going to be resurfacing the top of it. They're not dismantling the abutments. So they're viewing it as an RDA. So question number one is, do we agree that it should be an RDA? And then the question number two is, since this is coming from a government agency, do we want to waive the bylaw fee? So question, what do you think about question one?
I'm okay with I think that's all right considering what's allowed under the Wetlands Protection Act. So I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like if they were dismantling the bridge and we're actually going to be like doing work altering the bank,
Yeah.
it would be a different story. But because this is a more limited project, I'm okay with it. And somebody want to make a motion about waiving the fee? Generally, we wouldn't require a fee, but I just want to make sure we approve it.
Make a motion to waive the fee for the DCR stone bridge repair.
Okay, second.
I'd second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
Font, I, Harrington,
Aye.
Han,
Aye.
and Wilson.
Aye.
Okay. We have to, our dues for MACC are up for renewal, and I just wanted to get a vote from the commission to approve paying the dues. I don't know how much they are. I haven't looked at the invoice. It's whatever it is.
I'll make a
Paying-
motion to.
Renew our
approve the
member, renew our membership.
MACC dues.
Thank you. Second,
Second,
okay, David,
Aye.
Stefan, I, Harrington,
I,
on
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay. Finally, we have 4 minutes, and maybe this isn't enough time. I did have a back and forth with Bridget, likely from Kestrel, about the CR document, and she did make some revisions based on our input. She took out the solar or the renewable energy paragraph, which she said was just boilerplate because the state allows you to do it. So they just put it in as kind of covering all bases. But since it's not, there's going to be no renewable energy project on this conservation land, she took it out. So do you guys feel like you've had enough time to review it? Do you want to go over it again later in the meeting?
I thought it looked like they made the revisions we asked for.
yeah,
There was a little bit of back and forth I had with her around the whole historical requests around stone structures. They did not want to do a survey. They didn't feel like they had the expertise, and it wasn't part of the conservation restriction. So remember, we talked about Janice had suggested maybe doing a survey, and they didn't bite at that. So I didn't feel like it was a hill to die on, so to speak.
No, I'm not sure I actually required a survey, just that when they're doing their baseline documentation, if they see anything of interest, whatever it may be that they're able to understand, even if it's just the stone foundations or something, to just include that they saw that, like they do with anything else. If they see in someone's encroaching, they document it. If they see invasive plants, they document it. So just in that same way, they basically put in a waypoint and give it a short description. So that's all I meant by that, rather than to do a special inventory.
Okay. Well, I can clarify that because I don't know that I had that. I understood it.
Okay.
Clearly. So I'm not sure. I know that they are under some time pressure and want to get
Yeah.
this approved. So if we could leave that out and just approve the CR document,
Mhm.
that would be great.
Yep.
So somebody want to make a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the Pearson Land Acquisition CR agreement with the revisions we asked.
Second,
Second.
second,
okay, David,
Aye.
Defont, I, Harrington,
I,
Han,
Aye.
and Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, so I got those taken care of. Just since you weren't there, Scott, I'll just take a minute because we have like 1 minute to go. We did go over to 678 Pratt Corner Road with Mary Grover from DEP today and documented site conditions pretty thoroughly. And I'll write up a site visit report. Any comments anybody want to make about that based on our discussion or what we saw?
It looked like they'd already done the wetland delineation, it seems, and they got, the surveyor was out there, so we may see something from them pretty quickly,
We might.
which is good.
Yeah, clearly a lot of work had been done on the property.
yeah, it looked very different from the previous site visit, when I thought they weren't gonna do anything else since the previous site visit, but
Yeah, there seemed to be some sense that maybe they had done some work in the backyard after we'd asked them not to. And I have to look through my photographs from the original site visit more clearly to get a sense of whether that's true or not. It was hard to tell. So that may be the case that they've done some work or maybe not. We don't know. But it was still very wet.
Yeah,
And I think that the DP official seemed to be in agreement that this was a wetland that had been damaged.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the delineation shows. And I think today when we were out there, we documented where we think the wetland is, so where we think the different resource areas are actually.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the delineation shows.
Okay, we need to open the public hearing for Montague Carver, and I'm not seeing Emily here. Does Emily not know about this meeting? Did we not confirm with her? Oh, I'm a little confused. Maria, you're here. Do you know? Did you know?
She was on all the emails earlier this week.
I'm gonna try and reach her.
Okay,
If you can just give me 1 second.
sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's concerning that we don't have Emily here. I'm a bit concerned about that. But I also see that we have a lot of people from the public here. We can begin the discussion, but Maria, were you hoping to close tonight?
That was the intent. I had is my understanding, and based on the comments that Emily had provided most recently, it sounded like there were not any more outstanding issues. I can give her a text too and just see if she's
Yeah.
around.
I mean, I really had been looking to hear her present her comments and feedback.
Right, I know. So,
and we really rely on her expertise, and without her here, yet we have a report, but I just don't know how that happened.
well, if we cannot get confirmation from her, then it would be best, I think, to just continue so that we're not having substantial discussion without her.
Okay.
So let's give it a few minutes to get a hold of her and see what we can do.
Okay. Was there anybody, and I just want to remind everybody, we certainly welcome public comment if people want to make comments or ask questions. Right now, our third-party reviewer isn't here. We expected her to be here, and it may be that we kind of miscommunicated somehow, so she isn't planning to be here, in which case we'll continue the hearing probably. But if people want to make comments, our general policy, I think folks know this, that we ask people to limit their comments to 2 minutes and try to remain sort of focused on what the topic is tonight, which is around delineating the wetlands on this parcel of land. Here is Emily. Oh, yay.
You do have a hand there?
Hold on 1 sec. I just want to, since Emily's just joining us, let me just greet our third-party reviewer. Hi, Emily. Welcome. You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, Miriam.
Hi. We're glad to see you, hear you.
Sorry to make you nervous. I had another commission on a Zoom call and they just wouldn't let me go.
Great. I know how that is. So we're glad you're here. And we were just about, because we didn't know if you were coming or not, I just opened up and invited people to make public comments. So I see Carlos, you have your hand raised, and I'm wondering if we could just hold off on public comments for a little while so we can let Maria and Emily review the work that's been done, and then we'll have public comment, if that's okay. Is that all right? So Maria, do you want to take maybe a couple minutes or 5 minutes and maybe pull up the site plan and review the work that's been done since the last hearing?
Can everyone see that?
Getting there, yeah.
We can.
Tells me.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the whole site. We've seen this before. And really what happened in between the last meeting and this meeting is that we were able to peer review this area that's off site, and this area where there was an outstanding comment was further field reviewed and corrected. Additionally, last time there had been a question about the land subject to flooding calculations for some of the isolated wetlands on site, and those calculations were refreshed, and one isolated wetland area was updated to being isolated land subject to flooding. So those are the items that have changed since last time. I can go to specific pages if you want, but it might be easier for me to just navigate to those areas while Emily is presenting so that we're seeing the areas as she's talking about them.
Yeah. Do you want to show the isolated land subject to flooding calculations just so that people can see those?
Oh,
I have them if they don't.
what does that email have? Sorry, just a second. Sorry, they're not very exciting to look at. The bottom line is that during the field review, we noted that one of the areas was flooded more deeply than we had estimated. And that's the area that ultimately ended up being isolated land subject to flooding, and another area actually was less flooded than we had estimated. So it was, we left it at the more conservative estimation that we had originally used, but it was still not qualifying. Oh.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. If it's why don't could you maybe go to the screens, the sheets, and show us, more detail, the wetlands that have changed?
So this is sheet 4. This is the off-site delineation work that was done to confirm the buffer zone and direction of the wetlands. Essentially, mostly on sheets 23 right here and 24 corner of it. You could see it a little bit more easily on the upland eye with wetlands. was delineated. And then
Somebody's using a bunch of papers. I don't know who that is. Maybe they can mute themselves.
and sheet 29 shows the isolated land subject to flooding. The flags and such on this sheet have not changed at all. The fill color of the wetland has changed to indicate that it qualifies as isolated land subject to flooding.
And the wetland that you hadn't been able to delineate before, or that you had not delineated before because you thought it wasn't going to be part of the project, it wasn't going to be an area subject to development, you did go out and finish that delineation? Or that didn't happen?
Which area are you talking about?
Emily, I'd have to go back to Emily's comments.
Yeah. So this is Emily Stockman speaking. I believe that the area that Miriam is referring to is the new boundaries of WGR2, which are depicted, as you had said, Maria, primarily on sheets 23 and 24.
Okay.
And yes, Miriam, that area was reviewed in the field. The delineation was expanded. And that is now reflected on the latest plan set.
You're not, Maria, are you able to, I know you've done this in the past where you were able to kind of show us the change, like from when, you didn't map that out, did you?
I do not have a new change figure because it was a minor
So I
change
would,
from the major changes that happened
Yeah.
originally.
if I may, Miriam, again, this is Emily. The substantial change to the recent delineation of WGR2 appears to have been the result of the area not being previously delineated during the ANRAD process. I had stated in my peer review comments that there was a substantial distance between some of the flags. And I had stated in my comments that when I had previously been to the site with Mr. Russo, it was not reviewed. When I went back on the site with Mr. Russo in early May, we were able to ascertain that the reason this area was not addressed was, and perhaps Maria has already commented on this, it originally wasn't part of the limit of the delineation that was assigned to Mr. Russo. When he brought up his GIS mapping, he had a different limit of review line than was shown on the ANRAD. So we kind of solved the puzzle as to why this had not been previously flagged. We were able to spend a good deal of time on the site on May 5th. Mr. Russo was able to flag that and complete the boundaries. I reviewed the flagging in the field and concurred with the placement, and those flags are shown on sheets 23 and 24.
So just to add, because people can see my screen, I think that what's being discussed is that essentially where this upland island is within the wetland, we originally had a boundary limit that kind of went up into this wetland because we knew it was primarily wet. So it was not or that you would have to cross a substantial amount of wetlands to get there. So it was not an area that was of primary interest to the applicant. However, since Emily and Greg have added this area in, we did adjust the line to include all the areas that have been reviewed. It is still on the same property as before. It was just that before it was a delineation that had cut out this section of the property.
Emily, would you like to walk everybody through what your comments are?
Sure, I would be happy to do so, Miriam. So the last peer review comments were issued on June 15th of 2022, and they reflect a review of the isolated land subject to flooding calculations, as well as the then revised site plan dated May 18th, 2022. On May 5th of 2022, I met Mr. Greg Russo from TRC on the site, and we reviewed the delineated BVW boundary on the abutting property to the north. This has already been shown by Maria on page 4 of that was page 4 of 38. We also returned to the boundary for WGR2. As I was just speaking about, Mr. Russo was able to complete a detailed delineation within that area based on soils, hydrophytic vegetation, and indicators of wetland hydrology. I reviewed the flagging in the field and concur with the placement. We also visited the isolated wetlands GR16 and GR17 so that I could have a direct observation of evidence of flooding, more recent, reflective of the spring 2022 conditions. As I said, I concur with the new flagging for WGR2. The only comments I had back on June 15th had to do with some of the flag numbers. The flagging sequence from 116 to 123 was not consecutive. So I recommended that TRC review that to see if that was an issue with post-processing. Subsequent to that comment, TRC issued a revised site plan which corrects the labeling of that sequence of the boundary. I believe the only remaining issue, and it's one that we as delineators run into from time to time, is that there was a skip over a number. I believe it's
117.
17. But aside from that, all the labeling has been corrected.
Okay.
I had another outstanding comment from some prior peer review letters questioning the accuracy of the 100-foot buffer zone associated with flag 27 on page 33. Again, acknowledging that looked like a drafting issue. The revised site plan shows that buffer zone boundary has been adjusted and is now accurately reflected on the plans. And then the final comments from my letter focus on isolated land subject to flooding. It's important for the commission to remember that under 1057 2B3, the definition of the boundary is the perimeter of the largest observed or recorded volume of water confined in said area. TRC, based on their documentation, determined the extent of the volume of flood storage for the areas in question based on direct observation and field measurements. Furthermore, based on the documentation, the application of the field measurements to the overall isolated areas was based on a conservative measurement. As you can imagine, isolated land subject to flooding is a confined basin, so there is typically not a uniform depth of floodwaters. Rather, you would have a maximum depth, and as you approach the rim of the basin, the depth of water would decrease. However, TRC utilized the maximum observed depth to run their calculations. So that's what I mean when I say they were conservative in their determinations. Using that methodology, they did determine that GR 17 qualifies as isolated land subject to flooding, and I concur with that. Using that same methodology, it was determined by TRC that isolated wetland 15 and 16 do not have the volume base necessary to be considered isolated land subject to flooding. Given the conservative approach taken by TRC, I agree with their determination. However, should the commission dispute the determination of isolated wetland 15 and 16, the regulations do allow for a procedure to address any conflict of opinion. So the commission does have an avenue to require additional calculations of 15 and 16 if they disagree with the TRC assessment.
Thank you. And Emily, just to be clear, if we didn't have a bylaw, this would be more meaningful because isolated wetlands aren't protected under the act, but these wetlands are still protected under our wetlands bylaw because they're over 1,000 square feet in area.
That is correct. All of the isolated wetlands, 15, 16, and 17 are currently protected under the Shutesbury bylaw. In addition, isolated wetland 17 is now doubly protected in that it's also protected under the state regulations as isolated land subject to flooding.
Right. Thank you. So any other comments you have or feedback, Emily?
No, I believe that summarizes the last wave of peer review.
Okay. Should we stop screen sharing for now? I don't know if we can, you want to, thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions for Emily or Maria before we see if there's any public comments?
No, I don't have anything.
No, I followed that very well.
Yeah, thank you.
And Janice, do you have any comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay. So what about members of the public? Is there anybody? I know, Carlos, you had your hand raised before. Do you still?
Yes, is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a new question, and that is, what is the current area of GR 17? And if now the area is increased, what is the new area for that wetland? And does the current flagging reflect the area of GR 17?
I'm going to I'll let you respond, Maria, but what I'm going to, Emily, I'm going to pull up that
Yeah,
calculation.
if you don't mind pulling up the calculations, that would be great. But the immediate answer, Carlos, is that the wetland flags for that wetland did not change. The area of the wetland has not changed. What changed was the observed depth. We had originally assumed a depth of about 6 inches, which is the minimum depth required based on our field observations in the fall. But based on the flooding extent that we saw in the spring and that we measured, as I said, the boundary of the wetland did not change, but the depth that we observed was 10 to 12 inches throughout the wetland. So we assumed 12 inches of depth throughout that wetland, which pushed it over the 1/4 acre feet requirement for isolated land subject to flooding. It brought it up to 0.28 acre feet.
And can everybody see these calculations?
Yes, thank you for pulling that up.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Carlos?
Yes, and before it was less than 0.82 acres, right?
Yes, the essentially it was half of that because
Half of it.
the depth was half of what we have now.
And so my question still, I still have that question. If before it was half of 0.28 acres,
Acre feet. It was
Acre feet.
2.28 acre feet.
acre feet.
It's a volume requirement.
Yeah, so it's a question of volume, is not a question of area. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, the area did not change, the volume changed because the flooding observed in the spring was deeper than we had originally thought it would be.
So I was under the impression that when the volume changes, that the area also is subject to change. Am I wrong about that, Emily?
Well, I think the area could be a fixed measurement. It's the depth that changed, and that's why the volume changed. So the area didn't change. It was the volume, the depth.
Okay.
That's correct. Though, Carlos, your understanding is correct. It was possible that with the additional flooding that we could have seen flooding past what we originally delineated. We did not, which is why the area was not changed. Right now, it reflects, frankly, slightly more than the actual flooding area. But we didn't want to shrink that at all. We wanted to be conservative and say, you know, in some years, maybe it floods to 14 inches, and in some years, maybe it only floods to 10 inches deep. And that does change, but based on the conservative calculation that we did, our assumption is that most years it qualifies as this. So we wanted to make sure that was how it was recorded in the overall ANRAD, and how it gets perceived going forward is that it qualifies as this. Because flooding is something that fluctuates from year based on the observations we had in the fall and on site. I think we are pretty certain that we have the extent of where it generally goes out to, unless you have really a really extreme year.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, you had your hand raised a few minutes ago. Did you want to add something?
I believe that with the recent conversation from Carlos and you and Maria, all the points that I was going to make have been made.
Okay, great. All right, any other comments or questions from anybody?
I have another question, but it's
Oh, wait, Carlos, I want to see if somebody else first wants to, from the public or any commissioners have any questions. I don't see any other hands raised, so you can go ahead.
I had one other question pertaining to the email that I sent to the Conservation Commission on May 9th, but I don't know if this is the right time to raise that. And that was a question of certification of vernal pools inside the ANRAD area.
Do you want to just summarize? I don't have the email in front of me. Do you want to just summarize what your question was?
Yes, I said that that given the importance of vernal pools for species protection, I would also request that some consideration be given by the Conservation Commission to assessing the need for certification of all vernal pools identified within the ANRAD area. Some pools are certified, others aren't. And so what I'm just asking is for the Commission to consider the possibility of certifying all of the pools. That's it. That's my request, is for the commissioners to consider that.
Well, I'll try to take a stab at responding to that on behalf of the commission, and Emily and Maria can comment. I don't know that we have the authority under our jurisdiction for reviewing an ANRAD to require a landowner to certify a vernal pool on their property. And the way it was left in a previous meeting, because this question came up, was that the landowner it was not their policy to certify vernal pools. However, somebody could go out and document those pools and submit the paperwork for their certification. And the Conservation Commission didn't make a decision about whether or not we wanted to do that ourselves. But it's too late in the season now to do that for this spring anyway. It's not spring anymore, it's summer. Emily, do you want to respond?
Yes, Miriam. This is a topic of discussion that has come up with other sites. And it is my understanding in the past that it was conveyed through their representative that Kohl's does not supply written permission, for example, to the commission, allowing them to go onto the properties for certification. However, in the past and for several Kohl's properties, they are open to the public. However, in terms of the Montague Carver site, when I returned to the property this May with Mr. Russo to complete the field review, I observed that the property is now posted and is not allowing the public onto the land. So I wasn't sure if the commission was aware of that. So I'm just making you aware that for the Carver Montague site, it is now posted limiting access to members of the public.
And am I correct, Emily, that we don't have the authority to require this?
No, under an ANRAD, your authority is to pass judgment on the delineated boundaries provided to you and requested of you by the applicant. But you do not have the authority to require the applicant to seek approval beyond what they are asking. What we have done in the past and what I would recommend were the commission to issue an ORAD for this parcel is to simply have a findings section of the ORAD that acknowledges not only the presence of a certified vernal pool on the site, but of other vernal pools identified by TRC, but not at this time certified.
Mm-hmm. And that is all laid out in the draft ORAD that you've given us.
Correct.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Carlos?
Yes, thank you.
Is there any more questions from anybody else? Any members of the public? And, as we've mentioned in the past, the process of approving ANRADs is one of delineating wetlands, but that does not mean we're approving a project. There is no project before us right now, no proposed work. And if there were going to be proposed work on this property in buffer zones or in wetland areas, then the applicant would need to come back to us with a notice of intent. Okay. Does the commission feel we have enough information to close the public hearing and draft the ORAD tonight?
I do.
I do.
Yep, me too.
Okay. All right, somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the Montague Carver and Rad.
Okay, second.
Second,
Okay, David,
Aye.
Mont, I, Harrington,
Aye.
on,
Aye.
and Wilson.
aye.
Okay, well, thank you, Maria. Thank you. It's been a long haul. This is our last ANRAD.
Thank you, all of you, for bearing with us in this process. It took a while.
2.5 years later. It has been a really long process, but we appreciate your patience with us and our process. So I did go through the draft ORAD that Emily had given us, and I put it into a document, and we can review it if you guys are ready for that. Let me pull it up, and Emily, don't go anywhere because we want you to stay here while we're doing this. And here it is. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yes.
I cannot see if anybody has their hand raised, so please, somebody tell me if someone has their hand raised. Okay, so here it is. And this was the final revision date was June 22nd. June 20th, I mean. And I revised that date as well down here. So we approve the boundaries of intermittent stream banks bordering vegetated wetlands, isolated vegetated wetlands, and isolated lands subject to flooding depicted on this site set, plan set. If with the following condition, if a notice of intent is submitted citing the boundaries approved under this ORAD, then current flags shall be renumbered and replaced in consecutive numeric order, which is a condition that we've required on other sites where some of the flagging was wonky. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yes.
We do not approve bank and wetland flags outside the project boundary. That's standard. The following findings concern jurisdictional areas protected by both the act and the bylaw. So we approve the 100-foot buffer zones. We find that the boundary of bank associated with stream 1 has not been delineated, reviewed, or approved. That is because it was encompassed in buffer zone, or BVW is my recollection. Is that right?
Yes.
We approve the boundary of S2, intermittent stream bank within the project boundary. We approve the boundary of the isolated land subject to flooding for WGR 17. And we approve the boundary of WGR 1, BVW. And we approve the boundary of WGR 2, WGR 3, WMBF 10, MBF 11, BF 12, MBF 12, and WGR 18, WGR 19, WGR 20. The boundary of land underwater bodies has not been delineated and is not approved. The following findings concern jurisdictional areas protected by the bylaw, or should I say protected only by the bylaw?
I guess so. If they are, they're just by law only.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the mapped 100-foot buffer zone within the project area are approved as a protected resource. We approve the boundary of MBF 15 isolated wetland because this is a protected resource area. Let's capitalize. Resource area, isolated, vegetated wetland. We approve the boundary of this wetland within project area, isolated, vegetated wetlands are protected as a resource areas under the bylaw. Subsurface lakes, rivers, ponds, and streams are protected as resource areas under the bylaw. The boundaries of subsurface lakes, rivers, ponds, and streams have not been delineated and are not approved. So we're holding open that placeholder. And from Ria's information, if she were to be working on notices of intent, we are in the process of developing and promulgating some regulations for that resource area. The 100 feet, the areas within 100 feet of these resource areas are protected under the bylaw, and the boundaries of areas within 100 feet have not been delineated or approved. So the buffer zone around them. And if a notice of intent is required for work, the applicant must submit a site plan depicting all jurisdictional resource areas under the bylaw. Those approved by this ORAD and those present but not reviewed. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Then we've
Nope.
got Boring Brook, referred to on plans as S1, is a designated cold water fishery. Here's around the language around vernal pools that Emily was talking about. So we've got all of these wetlands, all of these bordering, all of this vernal pool habitat. Some of it certified, much of it not certified, which is just called out here. The only one that I see is actually certified. And I think that is the end of the ORAD findings. Any comments or questions?
Nope.
Nope, looks good.
All right. So what I'd like to do is just go back to EDEP and make sure that I have the form filled out correctly, and then we can vote on the findings, if that's okay with everybody.
Yes.
So let me see if I can get in there still, or whether I've been kicked out. Give me a second. I'm trying to open it, and we got the ORAD. Okay. Share screen. Hold on a second. All right. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the ORAD. And June 20th is our document, and I think it's 1 inch equals 700 feet. Is that correct? Can somebody tell me?
Well, the main pages are 1 inch to 50 feet. It's only the cover page that has a smaller.
Okay, so.
And yes, the cover page is 1 inch equals 700, but the other 36 pages are 1
Equals 50 feet. Can I just do that? Is that okay?
I would take out the 1 inch equals 700, just because most of the plan sheets are all the 1 inch equals 50.
50 feet.
Right.
All right, let me save it. And then this was the question I had around the order of delineation. Do we say it's accurate or modified?
You need to check off modified. And the reason for that is because it's telling the DEP database that you're not approving the site plan that was originally submitted with the ANRAD. It's been modified through the process. And it's the June 20th site plan that you are approving.
Okay, and I don't need to fill out this stuff, 1 and 2.
You want to click for bordering vegetated wetlands because you are approving those. And I believe for other resource areas, you click that. And in the past, you said see attached findings.
Perfect. And that's it? That's the story? That's what we do?
That's the story.
All right,
That's the final sheet right there.
that's the final sheet, yeah. And then it's just the signatures, so, okay, I'll stop the screen share. So I can do the upload of the findings if I have everybody's permission to sign digitally and we approve the findings as written.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. Scott?
Yeah.
You approve, you agree to let me sign digitally for you?
Yep.
Okay. All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve the ORAD?
we'll make a motion to approve the ORAD for Montague Carver.
Okay, second.
I second.
Okay, David,
Aye.
DeFont, I, Con,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, we got through all the ORADs. Carrie, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just hoping that Maria could confirm the mailing address for TRC, just because I want to make sure I wrote it down correctly.
Yes, it's 650 Suffolk Street in Lowell, Massachusetts.
How do you spell the street name?
Suffolk, S-U-F-F-O-L-K.
Oh, stop. Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay, thank you.
And what's the, do you know the zip?
I believe it's 01854, but I will
That's
double.
what I have.
Yeah, but too many zip codes running around.
And you have Cole's mailing address, Carrie?
Yeah, that's the PO box, right?
And Maria, is there any other address that this needs to be sent to?
Just those two.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right,
Thank you.
so we finished, I'm just thinking, we finished the order of conditions for 387 Locks Pond. We've already done that, right?
Thank you, Emily.
Yep.
Thank you, Emily. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you, everyone, for your tremendous efforts.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Okay, so we finished 387 Locks Pond Road. We did all of this. So that's great. I think we're almost finished for tonight. This could be like our record shortest meeting ever. Since we're not going to do a site visit for the bylaw regulation, I will loop back to Pat Garner and see what, when they would like to set up, get on the agenda to meet with us, hopefully no later than August. I sent out to everybody some language from Penny Jakes for the top of the lake conservation area suggested sign and land use regulations for it. And I suggested, since I only got it today, that we put this on the agenda for a meeting in July.
I agree.
To review. One of the things that we might want to consider, we've talked about this before, is having some uniformity in our regulations for all of the conservation areas rather than doing it piecemeal, since we have a new conservation area that we are going to have to be developing a management plan for. Where we could possibly have some general management regulations, and then we could have site specific.
I really like that idea.
Yeah, I do too.
And we can use the existing conservation management plan that we have for South Brook as a starting point, but then build in and update it. I also don't know, Janice, have you looked at that or in any time recently to see how out of date that management plan is?
No, I haven't.
Does anybody want to volunteer to take a look at it and maybe make some recommendations if they think that there's things that need to be updated? If we're going to try to develop some uniform regulations or uniform management plan? Would you be willing to look at it, Janice?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you have it, or I can send it to you.
Send it to me just in case. make sure I'm looking at the right one.
Beth,
you
do you
send
have
it- can you
anything
send
from
it to me too?
Amherst? Yeah, I'll send it to everybody. I know
okay.
I've sent it a million times. Every time I've sent it to the select board, I've CC'd everybody, but I will.
Okay.
Do you, Beth, do you have anything from Amherst that might be useful?
Yeah. Yeah. We worked on some management plans that were sort of site specific, but had like a general template to them when I was on. I mean, we actually didn't get through all the conservation areas. As far as I know, they still haven't. So there's that. And then I think I had mentioned that I was going to look for it, and I started to, and I didn't really find it. There's this statewide template for, I believe it's almost 4 baseline studies. Typically when like a conservation restriction is being put on something, or when land's being purchased by conservation departments. So there's the baseline study, and the second half of that template is a management plan. And I know that template's out there, and I just need to find it. But I can definitely send a few things to everybody.
That would be great.
Okay.
That would be really great. I wonder if maybe Kestel might have it.
Yeah.
I can ask. Okay. So one of the things I would just, before we end tonight, I wanted to just talk about site visit scheduling. Because I have a list of things that we need to do, hopefully for this Sunday. Who's available for site visits this Sunday?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah, I would be depending on the time.
Great.
Yeah.
So
I am unavailable from tomorrow through the 4th of July. So July 5th is the first day I could consider doing anything.
okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Have a life. Enjoy. We need to go take a look at the Ames Pond site, and Kestrel was willing to meet and join us to escort us on Sunday. So as long as I have a time, we can do that. There were a couple other of lake related issues that we were going to take a look at while we were down there. One was the culvert on Pine Road that Mary wanted us to look at. And then on North Beach, there's a tree removal that we need to look at. There was also a question about a tree removal on Lakeview Road that we never really, Dawn isn't here, but remember we talked about it at the last meeting. So we could take a look at that as well. And then the other site visit, which we maybe want to do on the same day or a different day, is to take a look at the stone bridge. If we want to do it with DCR present, we have to do it during the week. Or we could go take a look at it on our own.
I think it's probably pretty straightforward for you
Yeah.
to look at on your own.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I've looked at it. I've seen the wetland delineation flags and
Yeah.
looked at the project to just, I hiked there a lot.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it. I saw it last fall. Like I mentioned, I was like, wow, look at these flags here. What are they doing here? Do we want to go do another site visit there?
Well, I mean, we have to do one for the RDA.
We should do one for the RDA. So do you want to do it with DCR present? Because then they can talk to us about what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, I guess I don't care whether DCR is there or not, but I feel like we have to do the like official site visit for the RDA.
Do you want to do it on Sunday? It's not a very long walk. It's not that far down the road. Or we could do it next week during the week. Since the hearing is coming up, we have to do it soon rather than, we can't kind of kick it down the road.
I don't mind adding it to the list on Sunday,
Okay,
as long as we move along quickly.
yeah. So it's, what time do you want to start?
1, or I don't care. What do people think?
I'm flexible, so we could do it. If you prefer to do it in the afternoon, that's fine.
Do people prefer to start earlier or start a little later?
I prefer later.
Okay. Well, how about a compromise? Could we do noon? Because that would give us a little bit more of a cushion.
Sure.
All right, so I'm gonna suggest that we do the Ames Pond first, because then we know I can tell Kestrel a fixed time. So we will meet at, does everyone know where the area is, the parking area?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll meet at noon on Sunday at Kestrel, then we'll do the lake sites quickly, because it's all pretty simple stuff, and then we'll go and do the DCR Stone Bridge.
Sounds great.
So that's it. Fun, these are fun projects to go look at.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm gonna miss these.
Yeah, these are good ones. These are good ones. Wear your tick clothes. I've been finding ticks everywhere. All right, I don't think I have anything else. Is there anything else anybody else wants to cover before we end for tonight?
Just an LWAC.
Yes, you were going to give us an LWAC update. Thank you.
So after the LWAC meeting, I said I would kind of give an overview if there was anything there. So they are still waiting to hear on all the grants that they submitted for funding. So there's nothing updated on that. They too are looking for a culvert replacement project timeline, which I guess the select board is going to push to get a revised timeline done on that. They also have requested that Walter, after he retires, be made a member of the committee, especially regarding around the dam, since he knows most of the dam repairs and the things with the dam, and that was approved by the select board, so he will be joining that. The group is also going to have to the select board a letter to the Massachusetts government regarding their supplemental budget and a request for them to put aside environmental grant money and earmark it for this area. I guess this is a project that they've done. So if nothing else, they want to put in that letter and see if they'll earmark some money for this area.
For what purpose though, Mary?
For doing environmental projects. So they're looking at repair the dams, money to fund, looking at all of what needs to be done with wetlands. So the money can be earmarked for multiple things if they earmark it for this area. So I think the last one just was, I guess, with the town going back to you can have meetings at the town hall. They'll also be having hybrid meetings. So I guess Grace is supposed to be putting together a meeting on how to run all the equipment at town hall.
I don't think that's been decided yet, has it?
I don't know if it's been decided, but I know there's going to be some training that Grace is going to put out for people, because if you decide to try to do a hybrid meeting, you have to know how to run all the equipment at town hall.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There were a couple people from there that had volunteered to go to the training, but I didn't see it offered out to anybody else yet. But so I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
Well, we sent a letter last, to the legislature, requesting supporting the idea. Remember, we approved this at the last meeting, supporting continued virtual meetings, and so an extension of the order on open meeting law. So Carrie, you have your hand raised.
Me and Grace were talking about the hybrid, and this was on Tuesday, and from her knowledge Tuesday, she said that they have not voted about hybrid.
Yeah. And it sounds like if it was going to hybrid, perhaps individual boards could make their own decisions about that.
That I do not know. From my understanding, she strongly believes that they are going to do hybrid. She just, no one really knows when they're going to vote on it.
Well, right now, the emergency extension for the open meeting law goes to July 15th. So for our July 14th meeting, we're telling everyone it's still virtual. It'll hopefully get clarified soon, because if people are trying to schedule public hearings, we kind of need to know what to tell them to put on their public notices and abutter notifications. So hopefully that will get clarified before we get any more applications. We still have some notices of intent that have not come in that we've been told we're going to come in. So,
Okay, that's my update.
okay, great. Thank you. That's really helpful. All right. I think we're done for tonight.
Hey.
Right.
You got a lot done today.
We did. Carrie, did you have?
Sorry, one more question. So will Beth be sending me the RDA for 42 Pratt?
74 prep.
74,
Yep.
yeah, sorry.
Yep, I will get that to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Carrie, I'm gonna send you stuff to mail out. Probably, what time would you be wanting to do the mailing tomorrow?
So I can do it anytime before 4. Usually I work all day at my other job, but he scheduled me differently tomorrow, so I'll be available until 4 o'clock or 3-ish, I should
Great.
say.
Great. All right. Well, I will, before noon, by noon, I'll get it to you, my stuff.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Motion
Make
to
a motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second,
Aye.
second.
David. David,
Aye.
aye. Devon, aye. Harrington,
Aye.
Khan,
Aye.
and Wilson. And just remind me before we close, we did vote on all the permits, right? We didn't miss 26 Lake Drive. We did that one, right?
We did that one, yes.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. And see you on the 4th. I'll see you on Sunday.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Aye.
Bye.